We're now moving into a presentation by Benson Tam from Venturous Group. Benson will be speaking on the fast track to smart cities and what the involvement of Venturous Group in this space. After that presentation, we'll have a breakout session with Venturous Group, with Benson. This will be a more interactive session between Benson and the participants, but we'll go into the details of that after the presentation. So Benson, I shall hand it over to you, and you can take the floor.
Great. Thank you, Alex. And hello, everyone. Since we're in the post-lunch funk, I'll wake you up first. So we'll show you a video, and then I'll tell you more about smart cities. Let's go.
This year marks the 40th anniversary of the reform and opening up of China. With a GDP worth $14 trillion and the slowest GDP growth in decades, where is China heading? We are seeing historic opportunities arising. We are seeing the second transformation of China coming. Digitalization, high-speed rail, and rising middle classes are the three megatrends driving the second transformation. Powered by 5G, AI, and IoT, digitalization is going to connect everything and everyone, intelligentizing all industries. The high-speed rail network is expanding the boundary of metro areas and connecting all cities. Hundreds of millions of rising middle-class people are ready to spend trillions of dollars for better products, better services, and a better living environment. We see that China is transforming into a smart, urbanized city. One key success factor of which is to make all cities smart. China has started smart city initiatives in more than 500 cities, and more than 500 billion RMB has been invested.
过去的这一年很不寻常，世界发生了巨大的变化，疫情也带来了巨大的挑战。在今天所有巨大的不确定当中，有一件事是确定无疑的，那就是数字化的趋势没有改变。数字化以前只是让一些企业活得更好，而今天是企业活下去的关键。数字化的进程本来可能需要30-50年才能完成，现在却被大大的加速，这个过程很可能缩短到10-20年。在所有的我们面临的不确定当中，数字化是我们现在最确定的巨大机遇。数字化要真正撬动中国的内需，我们14亿人口的内需远远没有被发掘。数字技术的发展会让中国内需进入一个全新的阶段。未来的城市的发展就看谁的数据更丰富，谁的计算更快，谁能够真正理解数据，保护好数据的安全和隐私，用好数据来促进经济社会的发展。
Well, that was Jack talking about the all digital economy in China and smart cities. So that's a little teaser for you. And now that I got your attention, let's go to the speech. Well, before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Benson, and Venturous Group is founded by me to make cities smart. And this last year has been a very exciting year of, fast-track progress for ourselves, not just for Venturous, but also for smart cities around the world as well. And what we have seen in the past 12 months is just a wall of money coming into smart cities, but also exponential growth into this because of COVID. So let me tell you the story. Four messages is what I'm going to do today. And before I start you on that, I only have one big question for you, which is that in my mind, in 5 years' time, there will be 1,000 cities and towns that will become upgraded to smart. So and they will become the epicenter of the all digital economy. So how big do you think this opportunity is going to be? First message, clearly, no travel equals all digital, right? That's why you're here. That's why we're not traveling to meet. What we've seen in the last 6 months really is that digital has gone mainstream. We are shopping digitally. If you look at the US, 3 months in terms of e-commerce penetration, it doubled what happened in the last 10 years. That's a 40 times speed increase. So much more people are now shopping online. We are working digitally. If you look at the statistics in terms of people using online software as a service and all that in China, it has much more than doubled. It's just completely exploded into the scene. The fact that we are sitting in front of Zoom is a clear demonstration of that. We are also playing digitally, meaning that we are consuming in a very different way. We are using our phone much more. And if you go to China, the survey recently is that there is 70% of the people who all want 5G now, because it's all on your mobile phone. So another way to look at this opportunity is to, I call it follow the money, follow the investors' money. This month, Ant Financial, a fintech company, will become the world's biggest IPO, dwarfing even the last biggest one, which was Aramco. And you can also follow the company's market cap. Look at the entire stock exchange market cap of Europe. Guess what? It's smaller than just the US technology sector alone, okay? So market caps are telling you the story. And thirdly, you can also follow where governments are putting their money is. China announced 3 months ago, they will put 5 trillion to work. 5 trillion to work to build the digital infrastructure in China so that all the towns and cities can become smart and support this all digital economy. Now, if you believe that the digital economy is here, then where is it happening? Well, first of all, let me say this. If you want an all digital economy, it can't be just a single company trying to do it. It has to be the government supporting it, the businesses likewise supporting and building for it, and the consumers actively consuming and shopping and working on top of it. So this strong support is very, very important. And that's why I say that if you look at China, they are the ones that are most proactively embracing this all digital economy. I already mentioned to you, the city governments are putting 5 trillion to work. They are building up the infrastructure. That is the visionary leadership they're showing. Companies have no choice but to digitally transform, because this is not a case of good to have. It's a life or death situation. And meanwhile, like I said, everybody is on the mobile. Where you are, where will it go? It will go deep. It will change the way we work, we change the way we live, and it changed the way we play. The way we work is being transformed by 5G, AI, IoT. We call it digital transformation. High-speed rail is changing that, and so is the consumption that is happening. But all of that means that there is something that I think most people did not realize, is that you work from 9 to 6, you play from 6 to 2, and from 2 to 9, you sleep at home. And so all 24 hours of economic activities are going to be changed. With the all digital economy, how do you even manage it? And so my next message to you is to say you need deep tech smart cities. They are the CPUs of the all digital economy. 2020 is, from my perspective, the birth of the third generation internet. 20 years ago, first generation internet was on the PC. 10 years ago, the second generation internet was on the mobile. Now it's in the city. Why? Because if you look at your phone, it doesn't work by itself. Whenever you walk in the building nowadays, a sensor checks your temperature and that lets you in. That's the sensor, that's the Internet of Things. From that, it then goes up to the cloud that is all over the city. And so the cloud, the sensor, and your phone is working all together in unison. And together we call it the city internet. This will be bigger than the mobile, this will be faster than the mobile. But more importantly, and this is why a lot of people are very, very excited, is that we have all seen this movie twice already. This is the third time. The first time when I saw Alibaba, I was just plain dumb luck. The second time with mobile, when you have Pinduoduo and Xiaomi and Didi, it became more clear. And this time around, it's very clear how the whole smart city internet will evolve from here for the next 10 years. It will be massive and it will be complex. There are already 800 towns and cities inside China, each with a population of more than 1 million, that for the last 8 years has been upgrading to smart towns, smart cities, putting in 5G, putting in AI, putting in IoT, putting in smart factories, creating networks of hospitals. But can you imagine 300 million people shifting, migrating, moving from Beijing out to a smart town outside to a satellite town? All of that, bigger than the entire United States, will be migrating for what I call better work, better lives, and better consumptions. And it's not simple, because even if you have a town, a small town, a 2 square kilometer town, you're talking about integrating 100 buildings, the 10,000 companies with all the IT departments within it, and 1 million phones of all the residents, travelers, and consumers that pass by that 2 square kilometer of a smart town. It's going to be very, very complex, and you need everybody working together. And not only that, that is only just one small town. Now, 1,000 of them will connect into a network, and they'll all start to become this old digital economy. So that's why I say it's going to be very complex. That's why we say only deep tech can do it. Only deep tech can do it, meaning that you need the digital infrastructure. Without that, how can you become digital? Where's your 5G internet? Where's the AI? Where's the IoT? Where's the industrial internet? Where's the data centers? Where are the smart cities? Where are the other key infrastructure? And these 800 to 1,000 city mayors and town mayors realize that. And that's why they've been rapidly building that up. Next one is you hear about the AI, the big data, the cloud, the blockchain, the edge computing. All of these have to work together. It's not just one, it's that everything have to work together. That's why we are seeing entire ecosystems of technology where the government, the businesses, the people, the system, all integrating together. And another way to look at it is to say this is a programmable city. I like that word because most people ask me, what do you mean by a smart city? It's basically making everything programmable. What do you mean by that? 100 years ago, if you think about the people who made the most money, where the centers of economic activities are, it's in the factories. Okay, that's the industrialized economy. And then it shifted to the offices, the central business districts, where people do global trade, where people do investments, right? That's the personalized economy. But now we're moving to the next stage, which is what I call the programmable economy, where everything, imagine a city that is like a giant iPhone, where if you go deep inside the streets, it's almost like different technologies within it. And also imagine a city that upgrades every night, just like your Tesla car. Have you thought about that? It's going to be very addictive because it knows you and it works with you. Now that I gave you an inkling of what the city looks like, the next thing to say is that smart cities is actually about the people, what I call the old digital population, the digital native like my daughter, 25 years old, who have never seen a world without digital technology. I think people like that in 5 years' time will not tolerate what I call a dumb city, and they will choose a smart city. Just like today, I'm sure none of you will ever check into a hotel with no Wi-Fi, correct? You never want a dumb hotel. Everybody wants a smart hotel. In fact, so much that you don't even talk about it. The same will be for cities. And I think the difference between smart city technology and the old technology is that technology is all around you. Just like I said about the cloud, the sensor, and the phone. You live inside the technology. It's wrapped all around you. It serves you all the time. When you work, you become more productive, and there'll be less crises because all the sensors have predicted and alerted you on all the things and probably has taken care of some of the potential crises. The way you live, you can now choose to live in a satellite tech town, which is far away from the pollution of the center of Beijing. And you have more choices. And in terms of consumption, just like you have social networks and WeChat and Facebook and everything else, there will be chances for you to become more like neighborhoods, community spirited, and enjoy your fellow citizens. But this is complex. You can't do it without somebody doing it as a conductor. And that's number one. Number two is that this is not pie in the sky. 1,000 cities are already coming to Smart Cities 3.0. Not 1.0, not 2.0, but 3.0. I encourage you deeply to go to Hangzhou. There's a small town outside called Cloud Town. You must visit that because that is the original model of the smart town. It's a joint venture between Ali Cloud and the Hangzhou city government. That was Smart City 1.0. Xiong'an, this mega city that is built outside of China, outside of, not China, I mean, outside of Beijing, that mega city is already on to Smart City 2.0. But guess what? Coming full circle, Shenzhen, that was started modern China 40 years ago, is now embarking on its own upgrade to Smart City 3.0. So all of this requires a lot of integration, leadership, and what I call the conductor. You need a conductor to get everything sorted out. Now, before you tell me that this is all pie in the sky, this is all concept, no. It's already been done. I'll give you two examples. Example number one, this is a community, a smart community serving 1 million population. It's already been done. It's already been done by iSoftStone, our strategic partner and our investee, and they did basically the city command center. Because of that, the whole energy cost for the entire community is down a third, okay, almost a third. Crime rate down 88%, and satisfaction went up 20%. Well, of course there are problems. You know, it's new technology. Of course there are problems, but then that doesn't mean that we are not evolving, and it is getting better and better. Example number two, let's not go big on a smart community. Let's go small into a smart building. You know, our other strategic partner, Arab, one of the biggest construction company in the world, they have started putting in these smart systems inside buildings. If you are ever in Hong Kong, you should come to One Taikoo Place. It is already being used. Again, massive energy savings, and control systems can optimize and reduce cost. But more than that, they are actually solving problems that they never thought were there before. So, having said that, I now want to take you on to how we are addressing that. How do we make City Smart on Ventures, and why we have a front row seat using our deep tech. First of all, we use a structure called a conglomerate. That's the oldest structure in town. If you come to Asia, all the most powerful groups are all conglomerates. But not only that, if you look at Fosun, that is the company in the 90s who saw the new economy in China emerging and used a conglomerate structure very effectively to become a dominant group of companies. Legend Holdings, the parent of Lenovo, the world's biggest PC manufacturer, they themselves saw this opportunity and created a conglomerate. And so do we. And by the way, we don't just invest, we will operate. The only reason for investing initially is so that I can grab proprietary technology fast, because like I said, the city is built of deep tech. You'll probably say, so Benson, all of that is good in concept. Well, I say that we do have deep tech through 2 strategic partners, without which, it's all hot air. First of all, let me introduce iSoftStone. This is a company that we've been involved in the last 13 years. I've helped them transform. It's now a billion-dollar company. And through them, we are in partnership with 170 towns and cities, talking about smart cities and towns. They themselves are working with 1,000 or more of the largest corporations in China, doing digital transformation, and as a result, through the domain knowledge, plugging that into the cities and towns. Not only that, we have access to more than 50,000 engineers. So that's one of the strategic partners who are enabling us to make City Smart. The next the next strategic partner that we have is Arab. And again, like I said, they are the world's most advanced town planning and structural engineering company. Basically, I call them, whenever you see the tallest skyscrapers or the longest bridges, you go behind the scene and you realize that it was built by Arab. And between the two, iSoftStone is the smart and Arab is the city. And they are our bedrock. And together we will leverage them to fast track. But also beyond that, we are already forming joint ventures with the two of them so that we can create new businesses to operate smart cities. So having said that, we have these proprietary technologies. How do we do it? I would say this, it's basically 2 phases. Phase 1, we're going to invest in 10 of the key technology companies in China that covers the entire space of smart cities. FinTech is one of them, PropTech is another, city space technology, and so on and so forth, and energy technology and so on and so forth. We are also investing into other companies that have across what I call horizontal sort of technology as well. So that's the first step. Basically, the first step is for the next 3 years, invest and secure the proprietary technology so we can do this next one, which is to create even more companies. So phase 2 is that with the companies that we've invested in, we will create joint ventures, we'll create even more businesses, just like what I've done in the last, I would say, 20 years. 2003, like I said, 1999, I invested into Alibaba. by 2003, the first ever split of Ali into the second company came. Today, there are 31 business group. Ant is coming this month, and then it will be Cainiao, and then it will be Ali Cloud, and then it will be others. So the sons of Ali will keep coming. Wuxi Tech, 2005, we invested. 2008, the first split came. And one company became 3 IPOs, 3 JVs as well. And one of the most recent JVs was IPO'd last year. Today, it's another $10 billion company. So sons of Wuxi. The same with iSoftStone, and that's how we're doing it. And so the two phases together will allow us within 5 years to cover the entire smart city technology space. So to finish, we are in the end of year 1. We have done a lot this year. We have deployed 100 million. We have raised more than 100 million as well. We have secured 2 high-flying pre-IPO unicorns. At the same time, we have secured 2 what I call super families. These are top families in Asia, as well as other elite families who are now partnering with us. Going forward, we think that we will be continuing to do this. And like I said, we'll continue to build our balance sheet, continue to create strategic partnerships, continue to do M&A, JVs, and IPOs before, in a few years' time, we ourselves will be listed. So that's the plan. And that's why I say that we are on a fast track to smart cities. And with that, thank you very much. And I can answer a lot more questions in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Benson, for the insights into Venturis Group. So for the next session, we're going to be moving into a breakout with Benson. And the idea of this is it's more of a roundtable discussion. So this is where we can hopefully get a bit more interactive with this virtual event. So what we're going to do, if I presume if there are any participants that would like to join this session now, there should be a button that enables you to raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, then what we can do is we can bring you in on video or audio, and then hopefully we can run this discussion with Benson. So do raise your hand, and then we'll bring you in. And Benson, we'll just wait and see, who's keen to join.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, so we're bringing in Johan Rødegaard, partner at Venturis Group. Hi, Johan.
I see Peter. Hi, Peter.
Not sure if the just wait and see if they can bring in the audio. 1 second.
Right. Let me grab my drink.
Johan, can you hear us?
Hi, Johan. Hi, Peter. Are they on mute, Alex?
Doesn't seem to be, no. Let's see.
I think a lot of people are, there's some new chats that are being broadcast as well.
Let me WhatsApp Johan to see what the issue is. Okay.
Is it working?
I think there may be a technical problem with the audio.
Right.
Let me see if we can fix it on our end.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Johan muted.
Okay.
So Johan, can you speak up and see whether we hear you?
Okay, what I can do, so it's I mean, we've got Peter Churchhouse that is there. Peter, sorry if we can't seem to hear you right now. If anybody else would like to join, please raise your hands. And what I will do is to share the Zoom link directly to your email, and then you should be able to join very easily from that link. See if anybody else raises their hand. Okay, so Johan, Peter, I'll drop you an email. If you give me 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you should receive a Zoom link. And if you just log off of this session and then log back in, and then we should be able to have a discussion. Okay. So Peter, I'll just drop you as a panelist on this one, and if you'd like to rejoin on the link that will be sent to you in about 15, 20 seconds, and we'll take it from there. Okay. Okay, so those links have been sent. So if you check your email, Peter, hopefully you'll see it then. Sometimes, Benson, things don't always go to plan, but try to minimize that as much as possible.
Don't worry, Alex. You know, whenever anything doesn't go to plan, it's an opportunity, right? It means
Absolutely.
the technology doesn't work yet.
Yeah, always some room to improve. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, they're coming through. Here we go. Are we in business?
I hope so.
Yeah, he's connecting to audio. There you go. Hi, Peter. Can you hear us?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Peter.
That's better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, well, I'm sitting in a very, very remote location with very tenuous cellular link anyway. So it's a bit dodgy.
Are you in Hong Kong, Peter?
No, I'm in the remote wilds of Turkey.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Benson, I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
I think you're absolutely correct. This technology that we hadn't even thought of 10 years ago will just become part and parcel of our lives. But you know, like all technology, we thought, for example, that the internet would be a wonderful thing and social media, but there are many downsides that you see, you know, that have come out of social media, just universal good stuff. And one of the things that concerns me about smart cities is the whole increase in surveillance, the loss of freedom, intrusion, privacy, and controlled by governments of people's lives. And we tend to sort of forget about these kinds of things, and just wonder if you any thoughts on some of these potential negatives of the smart city.
Well, absolutely, Peter. Probably privacy is the biggest concern for everybody who first come into contact with smart cities, and I totally agree with you. I guess again, I don't want to sound philosophical about it, but just like in the old days when horse carriages turned to motor cars, there's a whole new set of challenges that, you know, suddenly it's moving a lot faster. People don't realize there's a car coming that get knocked over, you know, and then you have reckless drivers who don't have and then that's why after a while, they realize that cars overall is still better than horse carriages. If nothing else, there are much less horse manure on the streets, okay? But that's why you start to have licensing, traffic lights, parking tickets, and other stuff, and license plates. So the regulatory side always follow after the technology. I still remember, you know, 20 years ago, you know, in the, well, more than 20 years ago, when the first email came out, I'm sure, you know, Peter, you probably remember those days. A lot of companies don't use email because of privacy concerns, because they're worried that somebody will hack into the system and steal their stuff and all that. But then after a while, email became secure, becomes others, and the same will happen in this time. Specifically, for example, I can point to some of the things that are being done inside of China. Number one, China's latest data privacy laws are modeled after the European, which is the most strict data privacy laws. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than most? I think so. Number one. Number two is that I call it the decapitated personal data, which is that Isoftstone, our strategic partner, actually on a daily basis process 8% of the entire China's city data. That's basically on a scale equivalent to Ali. And what they do is that the moment the data comes in, they decapitate the identity of the person. And then instead they put a long stream of encrypted data instead. So these are what I call decapitated data. So that on a daily basis, it's much more difficult for people to hack into that. It's not completely watertight in the sense that, of course, somebody has a backdoor. There are regulatory reasons, for example, for COVID, for example, for crime and others, where the local government has a master key and open it. But, you know, it's better than nothing. And then thirdly, I would also say this, which is, unless you don't use your phone and don't use Wi-Fi and don't use the cloud and don't use anything, you are already spreading your breadcrumbs all over the world. And people are already hoovering it up anyway. So my answer perhaps, you know, again, Peter, is to say we cannot uninvent the technology. It does make everything a lot more productive and efficient. The question really is that how do we make sure that it is properly regulated in the future? And as to that point, yeah, I mean, I actually go towards that and say, the beauty is that you have 1,000 cities to choose. And it's not a case of China is bad and somewhere is good. In the future, just like you would pick hotels or pick your phones, you would have 1,000 towns or cities, just like your building complex. And you say, you know what? That one has the right privacy laws, and therefore I'm most comfortable, and therefore I choose to live there. And when you have 1,000 competing, then it's very difficult for them to be, shall we say, abusing the customers day in, day out. So that are my comments to you, Peter. It's a very valid concern on privacy. But as I say, you know, having been working on technology all these years, is that you have to get somewhere first and then regulate after. If you try to regulate first, you don't even know what the system is like. You don't even know what the data is like. You don't even know what the software is like. It's impossible. So you have to do something and then regulate. Yes, you have to almost like be a little bit out of the box, create a certain sort of problem and then fix it. I don't know whether that answers your question, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, Benson. I think we all understand that on a net basis, technology that we've been using and developing in the last 20 years has been a net positive. I think the world, no question about that. But we are seeing negative implications, and of course, those that we need that we'll learn about as time goes on, we need to protect it against. You're absolutely right. You can't legislate against it until the negative effect coming through. Yeah. And at that point that you need to introduce the control mechanisms and the privacy rules and so on. And as you're right, I think the Europeans have probably done a better job in terms of privacy protection than just about anybody else at this point. Many countries are probably adopt that model fairly closely.
Yeah, I agree, Peter. I think that's why I say that my choice is to say, do the technology, but do protect the privacy. And now that you were saying about that, I give you one possible solution that happened in the past. And this is actually happening, which is that in terms of data privacy, you should be able to opt in or opt out. Okay, I think that's how we fixed a lot of this spam sort of email that came with email. You know, the bad side of email coming with the good side of email. And so the thing that really helped that was what we call opt-in and opt-out. Now, I'll give you an example of what opt-in and opt-out means, and I'll use my daughter again. When she came back to Hong Kong, you know, right after university, of course, she wants to go out and have a good time. And so, you know, she's down at Lan Kwai Fong all the time. And the biggest, I guess, bad dream I have is that one day she'll call up, you know, Dad, I don't know where I am. I'm somewhere in Lan Kwai Fong. I think somebody is following me, but I'm dead drunk and I'm alone. What should I do? Right? So in a smart city, I would point her to her phone. I would say, you know, Alice, look at your phone. There's a red blob, there's a green blob. The red one says security. The green one is privacy. Press the red one. She presses the red one. Instantly, all the cameras around her starts to focus on her, link to the police station, calls the Uber, records everything that is around her, records the video and the audio, and she gets back to my home. Instantly after I give her a big hug, after she comes through the door, I look at the phone, and then I press the green, which says privacy. Red for security, green for privacy. I think in the future, people will have a choice where you say, of course, 99.9% of the time, I don't want you to track me. I don't want you to know what I'm doing. I have my privacy as a citizen. But in that 0.1% of the time, I feel safe that I have security. And I think going forward, that's what the smart city will do, which is that nobody wants traffic lights. Nobody wants cops. But you can't do that in a big city where you have millions of people living together. There's going to be friction. And I guess, like I said just now, the programmable city allows a lot more transparency. The transparency is both good and bad. And the question is that I think there's so much more good than bad that let's keep the good, do the technology, but be worrisome about the bad and therefore legislate. And that's what I mean. It's much better than no tech and no legislation, right? So again, I mean, you're muted as well, Peter. So I think, like I said, in the future, nobody forces anybody to live anywhere. You can live in smart cities and you can live in cities that are just normal. And it's a very personal choice. All I'm saying is that the opt-in and opt-out makes it easier for people to at least have the lifestyle they want.
I think with that, and Benson, we have one question from the floor here. It's from Mohammed himself. He's asking.
Oh, right, Mohammed.
Yes.
Are you online?
He is online, but maybe he can't actually connect properly. So he sent it over the chat function here. So he's asking you whether you think that smart cities will cut more of the human interaction.
No, it will create more human interaction. The smart city is not a Blade Runner dystopian, technology cyber world. I actually think the smart cities and smart towns are most similar to Singapore. Smart towns are going to be green towns. The reason is that the best technology is always transparent. You don't see your 5G, you don't see your AI, and you definitely don't see your Wi-Fi. So that's why I think in the future, you actually create that. Now, the reason I say that is that the social network that you create nowadays is actually half-baked. In the future, you would have technology that enable people to come together much better. Classic example is WhatsApp. Classic example is WeChat. I think after Facebook, WhatsApp is an improvement. After WhatsApp, WeChat is an improvement. And after WeChat, there'll be new, even newer social apps that allow people to reconnect. In fact, what is happening in Hong Kong right now after COVID is that the moment everybody is allowed to come out together, everybody came out together. Staycations, dinners, it was just completely booked solid. So I think in the future, yes, we would spend a lot more time on Zoom, but because we spend so much on Zoom, we are not robots. We are living, loving human beings. And that will always be our character. And that's why I always believe that there's nothing. I think the future is basically still a very human world with much more advanced technology. That's all. You know, better phones, better abacus, better cars, and all that. But these are technology. They are tools. You know, I don't believe in the fact that, oh, you have, you know, AI is invented by human beings. AI will never be as smart as human beings. I should know something about that because, you know, I did computational, you know, distributed networks, you know, artificial brains back in 83, 84, right? So, so I think it will become even more humanistic. So there you are, Mohammed. If you can hear me, that'll be great. And, you know, we all miss you. I wish we can see you.
So maybe I can ask another question, Benson. So as you have over the last year or so been out there meeting a lot of people, a lot of potential investors, sort of preaching, if I may say, the mantra of smart cities. Is there a particular conversation you have had during this last year that has really struck you, where you have been faced with a very, very kind of insightful question or possibly challenging question? We heard the one about privacy that Peter brought up, but I'm sure there have been others as well.
Well, good question. I think most people have still not appreciated the power of this new citywide system. The way to think about it is to say, iPhone actually only came out in 2007, okay, 2007. Now, if you go and ask people what is an iPhone, what is a smartphone, in say 2004, 2005, impossible. They wouldn't know how to even think about it. Just like I say that today, in terms of smart city, it's basically around 97, 98, 2 years away from the internet exploding onto the scene and everybody starts talking about it. But so you're not even at mainstream, and even at mainstream, I think it still took probably another 3 to 4 years. People say, I don't understand it. I don't want it. Why? You fast forward to today. Is there anybody who is not on a smartphone? Is there anybody who refuses to use an internet? It's not perfect. It's a technology. Just like nuclear energy. It can be a nuclear bomb and it can be a nuclear power plant. But technology itself is not inherently good or bad. Technology is used by people. And so if you ask me, you know, what are some of the conversations? I think the one thing that really struck myself, not other people, is we invested into this energy AIoT company, and using the networking system instantly reduce the energy cost and savings of every building by 1/3. I think that was shocking to me because I never thought smart city technology is green, but it's very green. And that's why that struck me, you know. That's my first reaction to you. So my conversation, that was the thing that really struck me when I met the CEO and we looked at the thing, and he said we can reduce the energy consumption by 1/3. Now imagine that being rolled out to the entire world. Instantly 1/3 of the energy wastage will be gone. Well, think of all the images of cities that you have. Bright lights, city lights, you know, highways with lights that shows you the way to nowhere, right? You have all the buildings that are lit up. 50% of all the energy is used in cities. 70% of all the pollution came from cities. Now, the only way you can make that go away is to have technology, just like, you know, just like the PC, the Excel spreadsheet, all of that allows the financial engineering to optimize the economy so much more. And so, you know, that's a long answer to your question. But so again, I think the question is not so much to say, oh, smart city is absolutely good or bad. It's not. There are a lot of things inside it. And I encourage people to think more deeply about it, because the way that I see it is that it's going to transform the cities. And because of that, all real estate, all industries, all consumption is changing. And it's just the biggest thing. It's just the biggest thing. Like I said, this is the third generation internet coming. It's going to create, you know, multiple unicorns. In fact, the future companies, they'll be biggest. It is only now that Ali and Tencent become, you know, the top 10 market cap companies in the world. I think we will see the new mobile internet companies that will dwarf them. And then you see the smart city internet companies who dwarf them again. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Benson. And before I ask a bit of a provocative question, I would just like to encourage everyone who is still online to submit their questions via the chat function. I think that's the safest way to pass questions to Benson right now. So while waiting for them, I have a question which I know you have sort of addressed in some other forums. It's a bit provocative, especially if we have some fund managers and GPs on the call here. But you have said a few times that you consider the traditional fund model, the GP model, to be broken. And it's a model that has been essentially unchanged for more than 40 years. So can you share with us what, because you have been in the industry for close to 30 years now, so you have been on that sort of fund management side. Clearly Ventures Group represents something different, but can you tell us a little bit what issues, what challenges you see and problems with the traditional fund model in terms of managing money?
Yeah, so yeah, that's a very provocative question, Johan, but I'll try to say that. When I say it's broken, it just means that you leave a lot of money on the table. I've been running venture capital private equity funds for 28 years before, and it's this, the typical structure, you know, that has been unchanged for 30, 40 years, ever since the Silicon Valley came out with it, was basically 2 and 20 for 10 years, right? Now, "21 years later, Ali is only dominant in one sector in one country. They can still go to many more sectors. They can still go to many more countries. 21 years later, okay? Any fund, there are many of the other funds who invested alongside us or after us, and all of them came out because of the fund life. So can you imagine how much money they left on the table because of that, right? That's number one. Number two is that funds themselves naturally have portfolios, 10 companies, 100 companies, it doesn't matter. Now, if you start doing joint ventures from the companies, then you can't recycle the money. So let's say Wuxi AppTech that we invested in 2005, 15 years, we created 7 sons. The fund itself cannot go on the other 6 because there will be conflicts of interest. You have to go vote, you have this, you have that, and before you know it, you lost the deal. And so basically, again, you would have left 6 out of the 7 companies off the table. So even though I'm not saying that funds are not going to make you money, they will. But I think that you're leaving so much money on the table that you need something else that allows you to, shall we say, from one company create the sons, meaning the JVs, the IPO, the M&As, recycle the money and continue doing stuff and so on and so forth. And so that's why for this time round, and also this time round is my money as well. I'm the single biggest LP. I'm the GP as well. I'm putting in 50% of the money. And the reason for doing that is that this time around, I'm designing a structure that I think is the most efficient. And for me, I want something that is basically IPO-able in 3 years so that I can get out if I want to, or if I want to buy, you know, a fancy car or a fancy apartment or something else, I can have the money to do it. But on the other hand, I don't want to miss the 25%, 30% growth of Alibaba 21 years later. I don't want to miss an IPO either. Now, how do you square the circle? And I can't find a way, and except for this very, I would say, this structure called a conglomerate. That's why.
Thanks for that. Alex, do you have any questions?
Pass back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question.
Sure.
So Benson, where do you see, how do you see adoption, smart city adoption in other countries globally? Are there any other countries that stand out, and do you have plans to maybe do something in those other markets in the future?
The one that stands out in Asia Pacific is, of course, Singapore. The next one in the Middle East is Dubai. And then the third one, the one in Europe that is actually perhaps a little bit surprising to people, and people don't understand that there is a lot of thought leadership there, is London. London. The only reason you don't see a lot of other stuff there is partly because of the financial situation over there, that they don't actually have, you know, the money to put in to revamp the innovation, the infrastructure and all that. But I encourage you, for example, Arab is a London company. Norman Foster is a London company. Catapult, one of the best think tank on smart city, is a London organization. There is an area just next to King's Cross in London where Google have their new headquarters for Europe. I think, I forgot what the name is, but that area is basically built using all the ideas and philosophies and technologies of smart towns. So those are the ones. Those are the ones. And then you will find that, I think the way that I see it is that it's not that China will be the only one. I think many people will watch and learn and basically adapt and adopt. Because like I said, you know, it's like those days. First, one hotel, you know, come up with Wi-Fi, and then the second one came. And when you have 5, you know, basically you've realized that it will be an arms race because nobody wants to go check into a hotel with no Wi-Fi, right?
So you intend to, I imagine, lead the way, and I'm sure many countries and many cities will follow.
I think we want to be almost like, you know, that's why we say, please copy from us. Whatever we have done in all these towns and cities, please copy. There's no proprietariness to living well, to serving our citizens. We want everybody to do that. And to be honest, if we do 10 or out of 1,000, if we do 10 towns, if we do the technology, it'll be good enough. I think I won't have time in my life to do more than that. So I wish all the other cities to just copy and paraphrasing from Peter, you know, get the privacy conversation going. you know, get the balance right. And every city will have a different balance, and it will be culture based, it will be habit based, it will be, but ultimately the citizen have to tell you, you know, there may be cities where the citizen says, no, I don't want it, I don't need it, then fine, okay. And then there'll be other cities and like, you know, I guess, for example, taking UK, because I spent so many years there, you know, there'll be areas in the UK where people may not want it, right? But on the other hand, inside the city of London, perhaps in some particular areas, they may say the faster the better, right? But yeah, I think it will be everywhere. I actually think the arms race for smart city technology will start in earnest in about 5 years, and in 10 years time, like I said, everybody will say, do I want to live in a dumb city or a smart city?
Makes sense. We have to wrap up now. We've got the crypto panel coming up, but thank you very much, Benson, for all your insights. Thank you, Johan. If anybody wants to speak to you further, if they have any questions, you know, either reach out to Benson or Johan on the platform. Otherwise, I presume they can reach you on email as well.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you.